Hey, Lisa, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Coming back refreshed, I hope.
Oh, yeah. Ready
Yeah.
for the marathon that is this year.
I loved your note on the five privacy issues that you're monitoring this year. So I wanted to give a quick recap of those and tell us what to expect this year.
I know everybody's doing the predictions. It's not a predictions. There's like a few things that I've staked out for this year that I think are really important to like be markers of what's happening on that front that help prioritize.
It's not a predictions thing. I remember seeing someone had something on LinkedIn the other day where they said, "Hey, can we go back to 2023 and check those predictions and see if any of them panned out?" No, this is hey, what's going to keep on going? What gets heavier? What gets lighter? Where should you be focused? I love that about it. There's always going to be a big thing that no one really saw coming, right? But hey, the first one, no surprise, enforcement. What do you see happening there?
History is always a guide. You have new laws, you have maybe some guidance or rulemaking, and then you've got enforcement, and that's this year. So we've got a lot of substantive requirements being enforceable by different regulators, California and others. I am looking for all of the different AG investigations. And so what I tell clients is watch the press releases. If you're not already signed up, I still think that they're going to do a lot of publicly announced sweeps, but talk to peers. They don't have to tell you if they're being investigated, but just to have a sense of what are those top issues that regulators are focusing on initially in their enforcement.
Yeah, it's going back to Michelle Lucan's talk with Paul Singer last year at the IAB conference. She really laid it out for Connecticut, didn't she? Like this idea that, hey guys, I've been talking to brands and I've been asking, why do you have so much data? Why are you keeping it for so long? And just met with shrugs, which goes into your second area that you're looking at, which is technology. So what's happening on the tech front?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at that is when anything is new, the baseline, the goalposts are a little bit lower. There's more forgiveness as this is hard, it's complicated. You're trying to set up a program where companies in some cases have never had that kind of program. And so I think the expectations have just changed. There's a lot more tools available. There's a lot more of industry benchmarks that companies have embraced and have taken on in terms of their data management and privacy strategy. And I think regulators are seeing that. I think regulators are also using their own technology to ferret out non-compliance in an efficient way. And I think we need to be pretty realistic that that is happening.
Yeah, there's no like, this is impossible. We can't even do what you're asking type stuff anymore.
Now,
Um, Third one, this is a big one. We've talked about this one before, but consumer health data. Do you see that being a big focus?
yeah, that's just going to be a top issue this year. This is the year of enforcement. This is the year of more private litigation on broader subjects, and then particularly with Washington, seeing what happens with My Health, My Data Act and enforcement by private litigators there.
Is biometrics wrapped up in there?
Yeah, it's diligence, right? It's knowing what you are doing, knowing what's happening in your house. It goes very quickly from modeling and creating audiences and personalization with improving our features and our offerings to are we doing manipulation that has crossed the line? And so I think it's really drilling in. The definitions have changed, right? You mentioned biometrics, but there's others, and really thinking about the kind of data that you collect and use, and has it now evolved into one of these highly sensitive categories that come with more requirements and more risk?
So fourthly, accountability. Where do you think enforcement agencies will look there?
Well, this is another kind of the goalposts have moved. And so I think before it was having these new contract terms in place with partners, and the expectations have absolutely gotten higher on what did you do before and what did you do after? So what was your diligence in determining whether these are responsible parties to be able to process your data? Great, you did the diligence. Do you have records to show that? Number one, a lot of companies, don't keep that in an organized way. And then what happens after you signed the contract terms, right? What is that oversight and monitoring as a program? And that's hard. There's not industry consensus on what that looks like. And so companies are each doing something a little bit different, and it all takes time. And that's where I think regulators are also going to push, right? You say this is a processor, but let's say they're using data in other ways, or even you're selling data to XYZ company, you're doing that lawfully, right, with all the other requirements that go along with that, but maybe that partner is going outside the scope of what you've allowed them to do in the terms. And I think those expectations are you may be responsible for that by not doing reasonable monitoring of the agreement. We see that in consumer protection cases all the time, red flags. right? What should you have seen or done and acted on?
Is this your idea, Lisa? Which I love this little soundbite that you had last year about controls, not just contracts.
Yes,
You have the legal contracts, but you need the technical enforcement as well.
otherwise it's just paper. Honestly, you know, it's they're what's the substance behind that?
Gotcha. And the fifth one I love, further disruption. Where do you think that's going to happen? Yeah.
Well, if there's any known factor, it's change, and it's the unpredictable change, right? If I look back to last year, just think of My Health, My Data, and how that really changed the ball game in terms of how we are thinking of expectations. And so I think about a lot of these new laws, you can harmonize them, right? There's some distinctions, and maybe you treat one state a little bit differently on a few narrow issues, but they can absolutely be harmonized. There's a few bills floating around in some states that are a very different model, that are not compatible, that would in some ways require a separate program. So I think that would be disruptive.
I'm looking forward to see what the big thing is for this year. The big case, the big enforcement, the big thing nobody saw, like ChatGPT. So we'll stay on top of that. Well, Lisa, good to see you. Thanks again for doing this with us. We'll post the link to your blog there with these 5 things.
All right.
All right.
Happy New Year.